have the a7 IV camera with me and the 200 to 600G lens, as well as the a9 camera and just a cinematic lens with me, the PZ28 is it to 135 f4, which is an amazing lens actually, but it's probably not for everyone. The other things I've got with me, of course, are like what I'm filming myself here on is the DJI Action 1 cam. I've got two of them, and they're still really relevant. I mean, they do. I usually film in 4K 30, and the cams are capable of doing 4K 60 if you really want to go there. But for a talking head like what I'm doing here right now, it is just plenty. Yeah, for some reason I do prefer the DJI Action 1 cams. They're very, you can just throw them into the bag. You don't have to worry about actually having them in the pouch like what is in the Pocket 2. I, however, like to have these DJI Actions in a cage, and I've got a small rig cage, and I've also got a tilter cage for the other. The nice thing is that even if you want to connect up audio to it, you want to put a microphone on it, there is a small little adapter. I'll put that up in a picture now, and with that you can do a lot of recording as well. So we are here in Australia right now. I'm just sort of like driving along and just enjoying this shortish stint. It's going to be in Wynnum, in the Wynnum area here in Queensland. Weather here is usually stable. We've gone through some really windy and wet weather just the other few days, but that's to be expected around this part of the year. It is we are in the wet season. Birding has sort of like really crept into my repertoire of photography. So here we are. We've just landed, and we are now ready to go and have a look at the park and just see what's out here. Now, I don't know, for some reason, since this year, bird life has not been as prolific as what it has been in the previous years. It could be because of all the fires that we had here in recent times. We had just we are in El Nino season as well, so that's a bit of a problem this year. And also just in general, plant growth hasn't been that good. It's been a fair bit of drought in the last few years, so there's not much fruit around for the birds neither. You'll see in the photos what I've got, and I'll just continue the video in the park. Okay, so see you in there. Birds. There are some darters and egrets, etc. out there, but not many. There's a darter there that I actually just took a few pictures of that is actually nesting. But again, you know, it's just one of those pictures that are not really that exciting to get, but nevertheless it's worthwhile taking a shot of it and just sort of like having a reference. So even if the bird comes up and shows itself, and or you are in an area where there are birds, then just take some pictures, and so you've got a reference point right into your metadata where the shot was taken. The a7 IV, I'm shooting with this camera now with the battery grip on it, as you can see. It has actually been a surprisingly good camera for bird life photography. I wouldn't say it's ultra fast like an A9, A9 II, or the A1. Obviously, it's got a shoot rate of between 10 and 6 frames. So if you're actually in high plus, you get your 10, and if you're in the high rate, you'll be at 6. So 6 frames a second is what I'm shooting right now, and I'm quite happy with it. A lot of people just do the shoot and pray, and just hope that that will give them some result. I usually get home and then I go into Capture One and use basically the import program that comes with Capture One as a bit like Mechanic that you would think about. So I actually vet out all the bad pictures at first, so I don't even bother importing those, and then I just import the good ones. And so my
My rate of images that I import are usually around, I don't know, 50% at best. Maybe on a bad day it's maybe 10%. All I would recommend is not going by what other people do and recommend. You can probably listen to them, try out what they recommend, and then just do what suits you. I mean, if it comes across as it does not fit, then why do it? Yeah, I know a lot of people want to hold on to everything that they shoot always in their lives, and they think that one day there's going to be an editing program that can fix it all up and clean it all up. But really, in reality, what you are doing is you're not improving in your photography. You're just waiting for a software to fix it up for you. Be harsh with your images, vet out the bad pictures, and learn from, you know, what you've done wrong, and then go into it again, and then come up with pictures that you are really thinking is noteworthy, and you'll take them. So your rate of pictures that you bring home will actually go down, but your keepers will go up, considering the background of a bird or a human or whatever other photography you do. So you're always going to be very much more thoughtful about everything that's going on inside the picture. So what are the bad things that I found with the a7 IV? Well, nothing really bad. I wouldn't call it bad, but perhaps there are some improvements that should come with firmware. And I know people are waiting now for the A1 firmware update that actually brings it up to this camera, where you've got autofocus in video and a few other bits and pieces that this camera came with. So the one thing that really stands out to me and as a problem for me personally is that when you are in photo mode and then you switch over on that bottom base of the switch panel here, you can see that maybe, I hope it's sharp enough, but you can switch it over from camera mode to video mode and then to S&Q. Now, if you are shooting or you've got a setting of 4K 30p in your video switch and then you switch over to S&Q, S&Q will override that and start writing in high definition 1080p. And when you switch back over to your video setting, it will actually be, you know, in a recording in a different speed, etc. So it will actually, yeah, it will not memorize what you've had in the setting prior to. So what else is wrong with the a7 IV? Well, the obvious point is that the EVF and the LCD are not the strongest ones, and that's been left for the higher tier cameras, like the dual stack cameras basically in the Sony lineup. 1, 2 and 3 on the dial button here, as you can see there, are now, so you actually got an extra one from the a7 III. The 33 megapixels are great. When you go into 4K, you will be, you will go into crop video, but it's upscaled, so basically, or it's downscaled from 7K, so it's really a great image that you will get. So the video footage on this is just perfect, and it's really good. And it's not soft at all, it's really nice and sharp and brilliant, and it makes a lot of sense having this camera. There are separate customizable buttons, or you can separate the customization for video and for pictures. So with other words, if your switch is over in camera mode or photo mode, then these customizations will be relating to photography, and when you switch it over to video mode, then you can also then customize these video buttons or these buttons into a video-centric mode. So in other words, like when you actually look on the top, these two, I've got them for optical zoom in and out, so you can actually zoom a bit more in with the unit. It goes into, I think it's 1.2 times zoom, digital zoom, which is fantastic, and it won't actually hurt your image quality, because it will still record in 4K, so that's really good. Now, yes, I know it's 4K 60, it's not 4K 120. Will it overheat? There is a setting in this camera where you can go into like a high temperature setting, so we'll actually continue to record even though it's actually getting a little bit warmer than what is recommended in the neutral path, where how it comes by factory. But ever since I've switched it over, there hasn't been any overheating problems. Will it get warm? Of course it gets warm, you know, like, I mean, if you're recording 4K 60 continuously, you know, like, it will get warm. So I usually don't record longer than 15 to 20 minutes, and that's fine with this camera. There's no problems at all. I have never really bothered trying this out for a longer period. My testing is really only limited to how I personally use the camera. I also have the A9 camera with me as well, and there is a noticeable lag on this camera when you're actually doing bird in flight, etc., etc. But you can still make it happen, and you can still make it work. You got to remember that you need to work to the strength of a camera and understand the weaknesses of a camera. There's not one camera that will actually always perform exactly fantastically and will never falter. That's not true, and it's a fallacy of what people might tell you about their camera and their brand or whatever. I don't really care too much about brand naming or anything like that, and I'm not associated with Sony in any kind of way. I bought this camera and all my gear out of my own money, and they've never really given me anything for free. Would I invest in the battery grip? Yes, I would, and I would buy the Sony grip. There are certain reasons why I would want to do that, and the first one would be because I'm a fashion photographer and I work in the studio, and I want to have the grip like that. I want to be able to shoot like that, not having the arm overrated all the time in front of me, and it is not very good for the model because it covers up you, and it also gives it gives you more fatigue by actually doing that all the time. So yeah, basically just want to be comfortable in the studio so you can shoot up to 4 hours, etc. The battery grip has got another function, and that's the balance. Holding the balance on a long lens is more fantastic. I mean, you've got more weight on the back, so when you are holding the camera, it's not going to drop forward all the time, and it's going to feel out of balance, and you've got to wrench it down again. And also the movement, you've got a full grip on this. Now, I always said to people, the moment Sony brings out full-size HDMI, a camera, and a pivoting screen, and it is a large pixel size. Now, I held back when I actually looked at the a7iv just because of that. It was only a 12 megapixel, and a lot of people love it, and I understand that, that's fine. But if you're doing a lot of specialized video photography and then you actually switch over to camera photography, you know, I still want to have the croppability, and a lot of people turn around and say they don't crop. Now, if you're shooting birds and wildlife, that's a whole lot of how should I say, it will not work for you, because you will still have to crop into smaller birds. So yeah, really think about a higher megapixel camera than the 12 megapixels on the S3 for wildlife. The menu functions have changed as well, so you have got a more colorful menu function, and a lot of people are saying it's a lot more improved and it's easier. Has it improved in my mind? I don't know. I mean, I got so used to the old menu, and now I need to relearn this menu, and sometimes I get sort of like, it's still not fully there like what you would have on like something like a Canon camera or something like that. So the menu still needs improving, there still needs to be work done. Us photographers want something that works straight away and we can find stuff really fast. So it is all about speed, so speeding up the menu would be really nice. Durability on this camera, I would turn around and say that it has not exactly got the same build as what an A9, A9 II, A1 has. I mean, it just feels a little bit more plasticky in my mind. So with this camera, the recording button is a little bit, or the shutter button is a little bit sort of There's a bit of a, you know, like an annoying sort of like squeak feel in it. But maybe this is just my copy and I don't know what I can do with it. So the other problem is the eyelets for the camera strap. The eyelets here, especially on the right hand side where the grip is just totally annoying, and it's just really a bad design. I just cannot understand for the life of me that we are in 2022 and this is still existing. The battery grip, however, has got a roll pin and it's recessed. You can actually just see when I'm on the grip and I'm shooting, there's no pin there in the way. The roll pin here is nicely recessed. I wouldn't even know it's there, which is fantastic. And also it's good to actually have a flip screen that you can actually flip invert. So in other words, there's no screen here that you'll scratch up or touch. I mean, it's just all there. And if you like, you can actually flip it around and bring it the other way around, and basically it's there. And then you've got your touch screen. I would think that if you have already got an a7 III, or you got an a7R4, or you got any late model camera, there is no reason really for you to change unless you want a pivoting screen and you want basically all the latest gizmo. You want auto, AF in video, etc., etc. Then this is probably a no-brainer. This camera, then you will already know that you want this. Is this camera better than an A1? Of course it's not. You know, let's face it. You know, like it's not going to be as good as an A1. However, when you look at the prices are starting to drop a little bit for the A1, but they're also starting to drop a little bit for the a7 IV. So if you are looking at a price on this and the the A1, then you can almost buy two cameras of the a7 IV in comparison to the A1. Now, if you're a bird photographer, you wouldn't care because you obviously have got a lot of money to spend. You will go out there and buy the 600 GM, you'll buy the A1, and you will be happy that you spent the money. However, if you are a wedding photographer and you're making a living out of it, or you're just a fashion photographer, or you whatever you are, and you just don't need the 30 frames a second, needing two cameras instead of just one, and similar cameras, then having two of these is just amazing. You will be just very, very happy with your choice. Now, a lot of people are basically saying with this camera you can only shoot in mechanical shutter and you should leave it in mechanical shutter. Well, I tend to differ. I shoot in silent and electronic shutter. Do I have buyer's regrets? No, I don't actually. I'm quite happy with what I got. It will actually perform really well and do the jobs that I wanted to do. I also have the A9 as a backup, would you believe? So even that camera is very stellar, and I'm very happy with that. Yeah, if you are in need of a camera like this, so you can do vlogging with this, of course. You can. It's a really great all-rounder hybrid camera, and I'm loving it just because of that. You know, like, I mean, if I want to do video work, I can do that. If I want to do bird photography, I can do that. Bird in flight, I can do that. It's just a matter of knowing this camera's weaknesses, and everything is fine. So there is no electronic sound for the silent shutter. That would be really nice of you to put that in, Sony, in your next firmware. Don't worry too much about rolling shutter and all that sort of stuff, what people are talking about. I haven't really come across it yet, and I don't think that it will be a problem unless you are the camera photographer, like what a lot of YouTubers have shown you, where they actually just, you know, whoosh the camera around like that, and then all of a sudden you've got rolling shutter. Well, of course you've got rolling shutter then, you know, it's not a dual stack camera, right? So guys, in the end, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button, and also give us a thumbs up. Yeah, we are basically just a YouTube channel that's trying to grow, and we do the live shows, etc., etc. We just completed the 50th show. If you have missed out on those, I just have a look in my lists, and you'll see there are all the shows listed. Until then, guys, all the best here from Australia, Queensland, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye.